We should know by now to wash our hands, but how does social distancing affect us on a daily basis? Coping with the pandemic, a Prairie Doc special report. Tonight, On Call with the Prairie Doc. Good evening and welcome to On Call with the Prairie Doc. I'm Dr. Jill Kruse of the Prairie Doc team of physicians. Tonight we continue our Prairie Doc special report concerning the COVID-19 pandemic. There is no shortage of advice, good and bad, from washing your hands to spraying bleach all over your body. But what is the effect on our day-to-day lives? How will weeks of isolation change our relationships with family, friends, or coworkers? We answer your questions about the pandemic as they are called in or sent to us via Facebook or email. Call in questions to 1-888-376-6225 or send us an email to the address on the screen. Joining us via Skype and Zoom tonight are Dr. Kay Moody, an emergency physician from Washington State, and Dr. Hala Sabry, an emergency physician from California. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
All right. Can you tell us kind of a little bit about what you guys have been doing in your respective states right now? I'll start with you, Hala.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I'm located in Southern California in the Los Angeles area. And as you had mentioned, I'm an emergency medicine physician. I work at a few community hospitals, mainly with a lot of underserved population, and COVID is here in California. However, it hasn't hit my town as much as other towns just yet, so we're spending a lot of time preparing, depending on what we're hearing and learning from our colleagues in other states like Dr. Moody, as she speaks to. So we've been communicating with doctors all over the country, and in fact, all over the world, to make sure that we could better serve our patients.
Excellent. Dr. Kay, what have you been doing up in your neck of the woods?
Hi, Jill. Thank you so much for having me on. So yeah, I work in Olympia, Washington. We are really just south of kind of the epicenter. Most of my colleagues in Seattle have been hit much harder than we have. We are seeing COVID positive patients in our emergency department. I've taken care of them myself. Again, just like Hala says, we, like most ERs around the country, are doing what we can to prepare for the onslaught because it's coming a little bit more every day. It's kind of the calm before the storm, I feel like, in a lot of places. We're all very hopeful. We're preparing. We're getting our PPE in place. We're ordering more. We're doing everything we can to be ready to take care of our communities when this hits.
Yes, and I think we're actually doing the exact same thing here in South Dakota, trying to learn from other areas that have been hit harder and what can we learn from their problems with supply chain, what can we learn from their successes, what can we do better, what do we need to do to protect not only our patients but ourselves. And this has been a very interesting time to live in because we do have a little bit of time and we're seeing what's happening everywhere else. So I think everyone, especially here in Brookings, we're trying to prepare like mad so we're not caught unaware and without proper supplies or equipment for everyone. So yeah, I'm glad that this is where our physician colleagues nationwide have been very helpful. And I should probably let the viewers know that Hala and Kay and I are friends, and we have met, and this is why they were chosen to be on this visit, is they're not just random doctors we found in a phone book, but actually personal connections that I've had. Hala's actually the founder of Physician Moms Group, which is a Facebook private group of over 70,000 physician mothers who talk about life day to day, about what it means to be a physician mother and how we can support each other. And now you've created this other subgroup for specifically discussing COVID, which has been incredibly helpful for people to share rapidly best practices and sharing their experiences. So again, we don't feel so isolated and alone. Did you want to talk more about the group a little bit, Hala, and how it's been helpful for everyone?
Sure. So actually, both Kay and I are community leaders in the physician space. Usually, physicians are just so focused on their practice and making sure that their patients are alive and their community is thriving. And Kay and I, what we do is we extend that to the physicians so that way they have support and they are a little bit more prepared to be able to do that for their patients. So it's just a trickle down effect. So as Jill had mentioned, I had made a group a couple of years ago as a support for physician mothers. And it was very successful and it continues to grow and thrive. However, as mothers, it is very intuitive and just it's a nature that we want to take care of everybody and really just make sure that everybody has a good foundation. So when COVID started to come up and we realized that this was going to be a pandemic, we went ahead and hosted another group, not only for just moms, but for all physicians, and not just in the United States, but for all around the world. So we have physicians from all the different countries and some who have been hit with COVID a little bit more severe, just like Italy. So we're learning from our Italian colleagues. And it's to the benefit of our patients and for viewers that are watching this, that you know that the physicians care so much about you that we're willing to communicate in non-traditional fashion to continue to educate ourselves as fast as possible with a disease that's not even in the history books yet. So it's really exciting time to be a doctor, but it's also a little scary, but we're hoping that with communication and preparedness that it won't be as scary.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you. And I know, Kay, you've also done a lot with dealing with stress and wellness, and you've been doing your part on social media, again, to help people feel connected because, again, there's a lot of people in this time that are uncertain. You've been doing a lot of live streams to help kind of help with wellness, not only taking care of people in the hospital, but kind of taking care of people outside of the hospital as well.
Yeah, so again, I want to highlight the things that Hala has done. It's been tremendous putting this COVID group together and reaching out to other physicians. And one thing that I like to say is that if you want information that is from 5 years ago, you look in a textbook. If you want information that's from 18 months ago, you look in professional journals. But we don't have that benefit of time. And so this is of our time. We have social media connections, and Hala and I both have put together groups where physicians can come together, and what a better way to share firsthand knowledge with each other, among each other, with the physicians who are seeing it at the bedside firsthand, first time. It's almost like case reports, only real time. As this is developing minute by minute, hour by hour, we're helping one another to cope not only with the science of it, what's working, what's not working, the challenges, the joys that we're seeing as well, but also to kind of support one another through this, because I think a lot of people forget that physicians are human too. And as we approach these patients, we do have the same concerns and fears about getting infected and then infecting our colleagues or our families, or getting sick and not being able to continue to serve our communities. And so it's such a wonderful way to kind of come together and support one another. And yes, I have been doing a few live streams. Some are on my personal page that's just for everyone, but also Heather Hammerstead has been helping with some Zoom accounts where we've done at least 2 live streams on EM Docs. Hala's in that with us as well. And we've gotten physicians from all over the country. On our most recent one, we even had a critical care physician from China who was on the live stream to answer questions from the physicians in the group. And so really it's just a way, Hala and I are just trying to put people together I say people smarter than me that if we put all of these doctors together, we can come up with some real plans and decisions on how to move forward and to help leadership to sort of mitigate this that we found ourselves right in the middle of.
Excellent. Well, we'll go to our first thing here, and then we'll get to some questions. So, once again this week, state epidemiologist Dr. Joshua Clayton gave us a brief update via Zoom.
Regarding the coronavirus, let's get straight to the point. Are we flattening the curve?
I think it's too early to really tell how much of an effect we're having. Most of what we know about social distancing is that it's going to take a little time to have an effect because the average incubation period is about 5 days for this virus with a maximum of about 14 days. So we really do need to have a couple of weeks before we see how much of an effect our social distancing measures are having. Given some of the models that I have seen, it really does come down to we're looking at, weeks and maybe even months for this virus to really kind of pass through the United States and through South Dakota. Some of the idea is that, we are doing social distancing, and I thank all South Dakotans who are making an effort to decrease the number of contacts that they have, daily and throughout the week. And really, the focus here is to decrease the overall impact by spreading it out further. So decreasing our curve of when our cases are happening and pushing it further out in time. So as we're doing that, we're actually helping decrease the overall need within our hospital systems, making sure that we have additional time to, potentially develop a vaccine down the way. But we're looking at, weeks and months of continued, in one form or another, social distancing.
There's a website called covidactnow.org, and it shows state by state about what date we need to start sheltering in place if we haven't already. And for South Dakota, that appears to be around April 5th. Have you seen those models, and what do you think of them?
So I have seen that covidactnow.org, as well as there's other models being put out by researchers at Harvard and Columbia University. And really what it's showing is that, the impact is coming. We are at that early stage of the overall pandemic, and what we're going to be seeing in the next few weeks is really an increasing in the number of cases that we're seeing nationwide and in South Dakota.
And your questions are the key to the direction of our discussion. Call in your questions to 1-888-376-6225 or send us an email at ask@prairiedoc.org. So we've got a couple here already, so I'll start with you, Kay, since you're up. There's a 70-year-old woman from Sioux Falls. She asks, if you do get this virus, what are you supposed to do about it? I hear you should just stay home and weather the storm. Is that advice you'd give from the ER?
Well, it depends. Don't you love that when people say that? So it really depends on how sick you are. If you have mild symptoms, you should stay home. If you have severe symptoms, you should go to the hospital. So mild and severe is kind of a continuum, of course. So what I mean by that is if you have a mild cough, if you feel slightly short of breath, you should stay home. If you develop a fever or a lot of difficulty breathing or a lot of coughing, then you should go to the hospital. The reason for those differences is that there's no treatment for this. There's only supportive care. Supportive care meaning going into the hospital and potentially being on a ventilator. Before that, trying other less invasive measures such as giving oxygen. So unless you are sick enough to require that type of supportive care, you should stay home, because if you go to the emergency department, two things can happen. You could infect someone if you're positive while you're waiting, or if you're not positive, you could become infected while you're waiting. Hospitals are trying to divide the waiting areas But truly, we don't know who's positive and who's not. Someone could have very minor symptoms, young and healthy, and have it but not know it. So you want to stay home as much as possible. So if you are very ill, go to the hospital. If you are not very ill, stay home, hydrate, take your vitamins, rest, sleep, do all the things that you've always been told by your mother that are healthy for you, but stay home.
Excellent. So next question, we'll see if Hala can answer this for us. A 72-year-old male asks about the usual symptoms of coronavirus and said, 2 weeks ago I had a fever, chills, and a stiff neck with some chest tightness and a dry cough. Could that be coronavirus?
So what normally we would have just brushed off as a cold or the flu, now in our heads we're thinking, is it coronavirus? So the question that's being asked by this viewer is the same question that everybody has. And the answer is, we don't know. Unfortunately, we don't have a way of testing right now that's fast enough to keep up with everybody's symptoms. For example, and I don't know what the situation is in South Dakota or Washington State, but in California, if we do have a test available, it takes sometimes over 10 days to get the test back. And by then, usually the patient is better, or we know for sure they probably have it because they're much worse and they're hospitalized for severe symptoms, as Dr. Moody had mentioned. So the truth is, we don't know. There are some early discussions with physicians about doing a blood test to see if you were ever exposed to this virus. But as of now, that is not developed or readily available. So the answer is, I don't know, but please be safe. And if it was coronavirus, then hopefully that just passed by and you won't get this again. Although we don't know for sure how the course is going to lay out, if you can get coronavirus twice or if you are immune forever. So we don't know just yet, but I'm glad that you're so in tune with your body. And it's a thought that's going on because a lot of people are just brushing off the symptoms. And it's really important, just like Dr. Moody mentioned, is just to pay attention to your symptoms and make sure that you know whether they're mild or they're severe, to have that litmus test of whether you should be going to the hospital or not.
Yep. Another viewer, a 78-year-old man from Sioux Falls, asks, if I had symptoms 3 to 4 weeks ago but feel better now, should I be tested? And I'll answer that since I'm in South Dakota and I know what the Department of Health's recommendations are for testing and their guidelines. The answer is no. If you are not actively having symptoms, we're not testing because there's such a shortage of tests. And as a doctor, we always try to say, whenever we order any test, what am I going to do with this information? If this information is not going to change the course of treatment because you're better, then there's no purpose in doing that. And like Hala was talking about, doing a test to check if you had it isn't really readily available right now, checking for the antibodies. So we can just test for active infection. So if you're better and feeling better, then no, you don't need to be tested. Okay. So we will talk about, there's a question here, 87-year-old female in Sioux Falls. If you are near somebody who has coronavirus, how do you get it from them? How is it transmitted? So look, there's a nice little graphic up on the screen that I think would be a good thing. And again, what does close contact mean? From what my understanding was, is within 6 feet of someone for 10 minutes or greater. So again, prolonged periods in the same room, direct physical contact, sharing eating and drinking utensils, or contact with respiratory secretions if anyone coughs or sneezes on you. Those would all be things that you would want to know. Here's another question. We'll see if Kay can answer this one. A 71-year-old female from Vermilion asks, what are the chances of coronavirus being on groceries like fresh produce and canned goods?
So I can't give you an exact percentage, but it is certainly something that you need to keep in mind because droplets can go anywhere. So if you, for example, get an apple from the store, don't just bite into the apple. Think about anything that goes into your mouth. Could someone have coughed or sneezed onto that apple in the store? if it's grapes, if it's anything that is not in a contained box or sealed somehow, it is very possible that someone could have walked by who had this and coughed or sneezed on it. So anything that you take home from the grocery store, please wash it with soap and water before you put it into your mouth. By the same token, if you go into the grocery store, you have your hands on the cart. Well, droplets could be on the handle of the cup, a chip or a French fry or an apple, or before you touch any finger foods and put it to your mouth. Anything that goes to your mouth or your nose or even your eyes, the mucous membranes, you can get this virus by touching something that someone else coughed or sneezed on and then touching your mucous membranes.
Excellent. So Hala will ask you this. A man from Dupree, South Dakota asks, why aren't doctors using quinine or hydroxychloroquine to treat this disease?
That's a really good question. And in fact, those are the questions that were being asked by doctors a few weeks ago, because there was a study that came out showing that the medications of hydroquinone and as well as azithromycin together was a prospective treatment. Now, when we're looking at treatments, we have to look at how it performs on thousands and thousands of people. Because the way science works is when we have a hypothesis and we want to prove the result, we have to be able to do that science experiment over and over again and receive the same result. So we haven't been able to do that. And in fact, the one study that we have that shows those drugs as beneficial was only on 6 patients. So it is really hard to make a recommendation for millions of people based off of 6 patients. Also, both of those medications have side effects. And the side effects are not just mild, like nausea and vomiting. So we want to make sure that we're not hurting people. And so right now, we're not recommending that. Although patients that are on ventilator support, because as Dr. Moody said, we don't have a treatment for this, we are experimenting with those drugs. But as you can tell by the number of deaths in the United States, it doesn't work all the time. So it'll be interesting to see how the science does come out and show whether these drugs really are going to be the first line, or maybe we'll discover another treatment in the interim. I know that there's discussions of making a vaccine, which would be very helpful, because what the vaccine would do would introduce a very small portion of the virus that is likely partially already treated or dead. And that would give our bodies a chance to fight this really minuscule amount of disease that we would easily get over. And then we would have memory cells. And those memory cells would be the best treatment for the future, because it would prevent us from actually getting the disease. And that's how all immunizations work. So we're really hoping and praying for, an immunization or a treatment that is going to be so effective and safe.
Excellent. All right. Well, a viewer from Miller, South Dakota asks, can you catch this virus twice? And at this point, we are not exactly sure. There have been a few case reports that I've read of people getting it again, but I don't know if we're exactly sure whether that was just a new infection or a resurgence of the previous one. So again, this is a new virus. We are literally writing the textbook as we're going. So we'll see if Kay can help us on this next one. 82-year-old woman from Sioux Falls asks, I want to know why the coronavirus is considered a pandemic, but H1N1 and SARS were not.
Well, they kind of were, but they didn't sort of go as far as this one has gone. This is a very novel virus. We've never seen this before, and no one is immune.
Yes, and definitely they were stopped earlier before they had a chance to really spread worldwide like this one has. This is really not stopped at any borders.
No.
So, an emailer asks, what do we tell doubters that don't believe that coronavirus is a threat? Hala, I know there have been pictures of spring breakers and people at the beach in California. So what would you say to those people who think this is no big deal and it's no worse than the flu?
Yeah, it is frustrating because science is truth. And science, like I just mentioned in my last answer, is proven over multiple experiments over and over again. Science is the reason why our life expectancy in the last 100 years has gone up about 30 or 40 years. So we're living to an average age in our mid 70s and early 80s, when in the early 1900s, that number was like closer to 40 or 50. And those are not because we're eating better or we're eating organic. It's because of medications. So I think that for people who are naysayers, I think that we can tell them that it's not, and we can show them that it's not. But unfortunately, until we have laws or legislation that kind of mandates us, whether we believe it or not, for the safety of our population, I don't think that they're going to comply. But as far as getting someone to accept or to change their mind, sometimes it actually has to affect them personally, whether that means that they're hurt by it or they know somebody that knows somebody. And I never wish that upon anybody. But what I'm really surprised about is already with these early deaths of COVID, that these family members are coming out and posting pictures of our victims of COVID and saying, you know, Dad, I loved you, or Mom, I loved you, or Grandma or grandfather, I loved you. And I think that those stories are so powerful because whenever somebody posts them, obviously it's so hard to not, you can't dissociate yourself. And you always think like, what if that was my mom, or what if that was my, you know, family member? So I'm really hoping that people can stop kind of thinking in their own little circles and realize that this is a pandemic, and that your action, every single person's action, can be life or death for the next person. And it's not meant to be scary. It's just meant to be true. And so if anybody really wants to help, then, you know, isolate yourself, social distancing, and just respect what the scientists are coming forward and saying that will prevent and treat this.
Yes, definitely. And I know a lot of hospitals, I know here in Brookings and in Sioux Falls, we have been limiting visitors or not having visitors in at all. So unfortunately, all of these people that are very sick now are not able to have their family support with them like they would. And I think that makes it even harder and scarier for everyone involved at this time. So it makes it even more imperative that you do what you can to kind of flatten that curve so you don't have to wish you could be there and not be able to physically with your family. So another question here. There's a viewer asked, could I have had this disease back in January? I had some symptoms then, but no travel. And my understanding is this really was first reported in the United States at the end of January. Is that correct, that I'm remembering?
Is that question for me?
Sure.
Okay, so that was when we had the first reported case. But remember, we can only report a case when we have a test to test for the case. So nobody really knows when it arrived here, do they? That's the question that none of us know. There are so many questions that are still pending. Can you get it again? We don't know. Will you develop immunity? We don't know. Could it have happened in early January here? We don't know. There are so many questions that are still unfolding hour by hour about this brand new virus. So we don't have any answers to that question yet.
Yes. And kind of a follow-up to that is a 78-year-old gentleman said, I actually had some mild symptoms and have been self-quarantining for 3 weeks. Do I still need to do so? So how long are you telling people they need to self-quarantine?
Well, what we do know from our colleagues all around the world is that the length of time for this disease to be introduced to you, for you to be infected, and then hopefully to get over it is around a 14-day time period. So typically the answer is, if it's been 3 weeks, you probably have overcome this. However, the reality is that 20% of patients don't only just have COVID. They have COVID plus another virus. So we don't really know what the time period is that people will be sick, but we know that you're susceptible. So if you are 3 weeks in and you are not feeling well and you're feeling short of breath with severe symptoms, I urge you to get professional help. But if you feel it every day, you're slowly getting better and improving and getting stronger, then it might just be taking you a little bit longer to get over whatever it is that you had, whether it's COVID or another virus or a combination of the two.
Yeah. And do we have any idea why there's been co-infections? I know earlier, or even last week, we were saying the co-infection rate was very low, or at least we thought it was. So we were testing and said, oh, if you have influenza, you're good, let's not test for COVID. But I think we're finding that the information is evolving rapidly, and our understanding is that may not be 100% accurate.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know everything about this disease. I just learned something new today about the involvement of the kidneys for some of these patients. That's something I didn't know before. I literally just learned that an hour before we started taping this show. So as weeks go on, we're going to learn more and more. And all of the leaders in research across the world will be getting together and comparing notes. And we're watching history happen.
Yes. So what did you learn about kidneys? Now I'm curious.
Yeah. No, I was just listening to a lecture by a radiologist about asking and pleading for physicians to not order ultrasounds of kidneys because the ultrasound of the kidney takes a long time to do, like something like 45 minutes because of all the images and time they have to take to get all the pictures. And the radiologists are starting to recommend and think about, these are not formal recommendations, but they're recommendations amongst peers. But they're thinking that possibly maybe just doing CAT scans where there's only 2 minutes where that patient could be exposing themselves to the technician might be safer overall for the technician and be able to get a better picture of the kidney. So what they're finding are just changes of the kidney, just echogenic changes of the kidney. And a lot of these patients are coming in with some renal kidney failure, some mild kidney failure, which initially we were all thinking was just probably from dehydration. However, now we're maybe broadening our thoughts to maybe it's something a little bit more. And it wouldn't be surprising because physicians know that there are viruses that do attack the kidneys, whether it's during the course of the illness or weeks later. And so it's a new development, and it will be interesting to follow these patients with kidney problems to see if they resolve completely or kind of what their outcome is.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for that update. So, in stressful times, we all need to take a moment to clear our minds and bodies of the tension and strain that is present.
This technique is called a squeegee breath because just like a window washer can use a squeegee to clean a window, you can use your breath like a squeegee to clean your thoughts and feelings that are not supportive in the moment, and then put yourself back in service of the person who you're dealing with right now. And it all has to do with breath. Anytime you're talking about managing who you're being as opposed to what you're doing, it all has to do with your breath. So imagine that as you take a big breath in, you breathe up to the top of your head, and then as you exhale all the way down to your toes. And imagine that exhale is like a squeegee wiping you clean. So the way the squeegee breath works is fairly simple. The hardest part is to notice you're distracted. So let's say I'm taking care of my child and I'm feeling afraid because they have a fever and they're sick. I might notice that me being afraid is contagious to them. It doesn't serve me in the moment to be afraid while I'm taking care of my child. So if I notice I'm having a thought or a feeling that isn't supporting what I'm doing right now, I can take a big breath up to the top of my head, release all the way to my toes as I exhale, and let that giant breath of a squeegee wipe me clean, release the thoughts and feelings that aren't supporting me so I can focus my energy and focus my attention on what's at hand. And what you'll find as you begin to notice what you're thinking and what you're feeling as separate from what you're doing, you'll find that we're distracted all the time. And here's one of the hard things for people is that You may think to yourself, you know, if I get good at this squeegee breath thing, I'll be able to quiet my mind and I won't have as many of these thoughts and feelings that are distracting. And that's where people get tripped up, because you can't quiet your mind. It's impossible. What you can do is get better and better at recognizing when you're distracted and get faster at breathing and releasing those things. So a person who seems calm and seems to float above it all. I mean, doctors in emergency rooms, we've got to stay centered. We can't let anything knock us off kilter. What we are is better at recognizing when we're distracted and releasing it and refocusing over and over and over and over and over again. Because if you try to quiet your mind, you'll find the harder you try to quiet your mind, the more difficult that is. So for instance, don't think about a pink elephant. Right now, don't think about a pink elephant. Quiet your mind and don't think about a pink elephant. Yeah, right, you're thinking about a pink elephant. You can't stop it. So let's release the pink elephant. Big breath in, up to the top of your head, let it go out to your toes. Let that squeegee wipe you clean.
All right, well, thank you very much. That's always a very helpful thing for me to do. I try to do that before I go into each patient room so I'm focused and present for my patients. And I know a lot of people are asking questions here about what they can do. I think there's a lot of this nervous energy where we want to do something and just sitting home and staying home feels like you're not doing enough. So ask Kay. There's a lot of people asking, seeing that there's directions and patterns for face masks at healthcare facilities. Is this appropriate? Are they needed? Are you guys getting donations for that? I know our hospital actually just put something on Facebook saying we would be more than happy to accept donations with the kind of links to a pattern. So how do you feel about the homemade face masks that people are doing to, again, support us and try to help their medical community and do something?
Well, it is very much appreciated, and I think we need to direct it in a way that it can be the most helpful. I think the homemade masks in the emergency department setting is not the best way to go, but what we need to do is have everyone in the community covering their face, everyone. Because if you think about it, those homemade masks or even a surgical mask protects the people, not the wearer, but everyone that's in the room with the person who's wearing the mask. So if you really want to help the pandemic in general and your community in general, wear those masks when you go anywhere in public, because as you're going through the grocery store, you don't want to breathe on, cough on, sneeze on the cart, the vegetables, the fruit, and then pass it on to someone else, because like we had said before, you could have this and not even know that you have it. There are many asymptomatic people who can spread the disease. So when you go out, even if you're healthy, wear that mask, cover your face. The homemade ones, of course, you don't want to go out and use the ones that are medical grade, because we need those in the hospitals. But the homemade ones are ideal for people in the community to wear everywhere they go in public to protect everyone around them.
And if you don't have one of those masks, I know CDC has talked about wearing bandanas as an alternative. So definitely, again, yeah, protecting everyone around you. And as I can hear your puppy in the background, you might have the answer to this one as well. A woman in Sioux Falls asked, can you comment on how the virus affects pets? Do pets get it?
We don't know that pets get it. There was some rumor going around that a dog had it. I never heard any more about that. But certainly, if, just like your vegetables, if you cough or sneeze on your dog and then someone comes behind you and pets your dog, then they have the germs on their hands. And then if they eat a sandwich, then they've taken your germs into their bodies. So just think about anything that you touch or come into contact with. But as far as we know, as far as I know, pets cannot have the virus themselves.
Excellent, thank you. Hala, we'll ask this 70-year-old female from Aberdeen, where thankfully 3M is making hopefully a lot of N95s for us as we speak, asked, do the Prevnar and Pneumovax shots give any protection against the virus?
We don't know that. I think it does give you protection from getting really sick because, as I mentioned before, if the virus is decreasing your immune system and making you susceptible to all other bacteria and viruses while you're ill, then I think that those immunizations will only help you. But so far, we don't have any studies that show that there's any crossover. And my suspicion is that there may not be crossover because the main population that's really having a hard time with the severe symptoms is our older population, which do meet the criteria to get the Pneumovax every so often and whatnot. So I'm hoping that we find some type of crossover because that is a pattern in medicine. I just don't know if we found that here with those immunizations.
All right. And one other question here. I will throw this out to both of you. A viewer in Brookings asks, is it better to keep your home warm and humid or warm and dry? I know they have been doing studies to kind of see how the virus lives on different surfaces, and I definitely know that humidity and temperature can affect that. Have either of you read anything making recommendations for homes?
It's kind of been back and forth. I haven't seen definitive studies saying either one. Have you, Dr. Sabry?
No, I haven't. I actually asked a similar question to one of our infectious disease colleagues that if she thought that the coronavirus would basically be over by summer, being that the temperatures would raise. And she had said that her and her colleagues did not know if they can give a definitive answer. And in fact, they thought maybe no, as other pandemics and viruses are heat stable. So they don't know. And personally, I feel, I'm in California, as you can see the sun kind of hitting my face. Super sunny out here. It's still really warm and the virus is rampant. So, and even in other parts of the world, like the Philippines and other warmer climate regions, they're being hit really hard with this virus. So for me, my suspicion is we haven't seen the evidence, but so far what we're seeing, I don't think that this is going to be a virus that is just going to go away with a temperature elevation.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I think we've got time for one more question that I'll quick try to hear. A 76-year-old caller from Davis asks if all the recommendations to stay home are about protecting oneself or about slowing the spread in general. And I would say both. It's about, that's how you protect yourself, is by slowing the spread. As this, we find every person infected tends to infect 2.5 other people. So the more you can stay in, you're insulating yourself and you are protecting all the people that you could potentially be exposing. So if you're keeping yourself from being exposed, you're also keeping others from being exposed. So it really is both, and a very good thing to do. So. All right, so definitely another question, can mosquitoes carry this virus? My understanding is no, this doesn't seem to be a bloodborne transmission, it's through aerosol droplets. So thankfully we don't have to worry about the mosquitoes, which I know will be coming out anytime now in South Dakota as we're starting to thaw. So, and my goodness, you guys are answering questions quickly. Amanda from Custer asks if there's any diet or food type that would give you more protection or strength from this virus. Anyone have a good 10-second wrap up? Nope.
So not a particular food. Overall health is the main thing. So sleep is ultimately important. Eating well,
Excellent.
Rest.
All
Exercise.
right. I'll unfortunately have to cut you back off since we're live TV, so we'll be right back after this.
We feel privileged to have had the honor of creating a legacy of service through the Prairie Doc organization.
It has been our desire and goal to share health information that is not influenced by marketing or sales, but rather is based on science.
We started in the 80s with a newspaper article and expanded in the 90s with a radio show. In 2003, we started a TV program, and in 2010, we added our social media platforms.
This has been a team effort made possible by many volunteer physicians and experts serving as hosts and guests. All of them are Prairie Docs.
Thanks to them, we've been given the ability to pass the torch so that this legacy may continue beyond my time on this earth.
Please join me in embracing our team of Prairie Doc physicians, each committed to this mission. Family physician Andrew Ellsworth, Deb Johnston, and Jill Kruse, along with internist Kelly Evans, all from Brookings, South Dakota.
These volunteer physicians, and many others, have in the past and will in the future serve as authors of Prairie Doc newspaper columns, host of our TV and radio programs. Thank you.
History has its eyes on you. That is a quote from the popular musical Hamilton. But as we are dealing with this global pandemic, it also applies to all of us. The year 2020 is going to be remembered someday in history books. How it is remembered is in part up to us. Will this year go down in history as a time of great selfishness, with people hoarding masses of toilet paper and masks? Will this year go down as a time where we all came together to help our neighbors through this scary and uncertain time? There are heartwarming stories of people in Italy singing from their windows at night, all those voices raised up together to bring hope and a small spark of joy. Even though they are physically separated by the quarantine, they unite in spirit and in song. In the United States, there have been reports of neighborhoods that are connecting on social media to see who in their block needs resources. They assign a team lead to check in with each family and see if there's anything they need. The team lead then arranges for someone in the neighborhood to deliver groceries and medications to the doorsteps of the elderly and those quarantined. Families are home eating together each night. Activities have been canceled, and the normal day-to-day busyness has gone away. In my own home, board games are being pulled out of the closet, books are being read more, and family movie night is a regular occurrence. There is no rushing to get out the door to this activity or that event. In the midst of the fear and the uncertainty, I am trying to savor the quiet moments I have at home with those I love most. Now is the time to reconnect with family and friends that you didn't have time to talk with. Now is the time to send that text or email. Don't hesitate to make a phone call or FaceTime someone who is important, but previously was not high on your list of things to do. This past week, I have had more phone calls and text messages from friends and family than I can ever recall having before. And that has been a gift. Every day we write history. Today, we get to decide what people will remember about this year. Let's do everything we can to show how we can come together to save lives and overcome. A big thank you to our guests, Dr. Kay and Dr. Hala, for joining us via Skype and Zoom tonight. I would also like to thank all of the Prairie Docs, the production crew, the phone volunteers, the SDSU School of Communication and Journalism, the South Dakota Department of Health, the South Dakota Public Broadcasting, and South Dakota State University. If you would like more information about this program or to see more episodes, please like and follow us on Facebook or visit us at prairiedot.org. On a sad note from us here at On Call with the Prairie Doc, our creator, founder, medical director, host, and our friend, Dr. Richard Holm, passed away after losing an amazing battle with cancer last Sunday. Rick was a wonderful example of how to live life and an inspiring cheerleader to us all. The world is a much better place because he was here, and it has lost a truly great human being.
After hearing of my cancer, a psychologist minister friend of mine from afar wrote me and said, "How is your soul with all of this, and how should I pray for you?" Here is my answer. I would ask you pray that each one of us learn to better see and accept our own dying process and to let go of all that fear. And then we can learn to savor every day, every moment. As for me, my faith surrounds me like the wings of a mother hen. I'm okay with dying. I'm trying to put it off as long as I can, but I'll be all right if it happens sooner. I am incredibly thankful for an abundant life. My job as a physician has given back far more than I could ever give. I still love and play with gusto. I gather all the humor and fun I can have with every juncture. And I try to Snoopy dance my days every day. I am surrounded by dear friends, the love of a wonderful spouse, and honest, creative kids. I direct an interdenominational choir that sings hymns weekly to people in need to help them savor a moment. Indeed, I've been listening as hard as I can for life, which helps me face my own impending death. I believe God is listening, and maybe Mother Teresa too. And I realize rough seas can still come, but all is well with my soul.
That does it for tonight. From all of us here at On Call with the Prairie Doc, until next time, stay healthy out there, people.
For more than a decade, Dr. Holm, in his role as the Prairie Doc, has emerged as a leader of healthcare education and communication in South Dakota and across the country. Every week, Dr. Holm and other medical professionals volunteer many hours to share science-based truth about healthcare on public television, on the radio, in our newspapers, and online. And best of all, everyone has free, easy access to the entire Prairie Doc library. Hi, I'm Jennifer May of Rapid City. As a board member of the Healing Words Foundation, I ask you to consider making a donation. Please help us continue this important work. Go to prairiedoc.org and make a donation today. Thank you.
Major funding for On Call with the Prairie Doc has been provided by
Avera is a proud sponsor of On Call with the Prairie Doc on South Dakota Public Broadcasting. Larson Manufacturing is proud to support On Call with the Prairie Doc as it continues to open doors for important medical information.
And with the ongoing support of these individuals and institutions,
South Dakota Foundation for Medical Care,
Brookings Health System,
Ophthalmology Limited,
Avera Heart Hospital,
Dakota Allergy and Asthma,
Fishback Financial Corporation,
Vance Thompson Vision,
Urology Specialists,
Brown Clinic,
American Academy of Family Physicians Foundation and South Dakota Academy of Family Physicians,
Black Hills Medical Society,
Aberdeen District Medical Society,
Flandreau Madison Brookings District Medical Society,
Sioux Falls District Medical Society,
Yankton District Medical Society,
Dakota Bank,
Orthopedic Institute,
Physicians Care Sanford Clinic Community Service Committee,
Aberdeen Asthma and Allergy,
and Swiftel Communications.